Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be discussing Ernest Hemingway's Old Man and the Sea. This is another one of those books that are frequently going to be read by US high school students, and increasingly I question these choices over the years. That I understand that we need to give high schoolers important literature to read, but as I read these books much later in life, I think, what could I possibly have gained from this as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, other than the most superficial appreciation of good writing? And when you come to it years later, and you've gone through some of the challenges, some of the journey that our protagonist in this novella goes through, I think it hits home a lot more. I just don't know how a book like this would land. I just remember having a vague impression of enjoying the text before I came to it again, this time more than 20 years later. With Hemingway, you have a spareness of style exemplified in his philosophy of building a story, building a novel with the idea of write one good sentence, then write another, and then write another, and then write another until you're done. So you're not going to have any flowery style, very direct, very clear. It's been characterized as an American style by some of my European friends. They think of Hemingway as a quintessential American writer, and I would say that in some senses, yes, he's very, very American in that business writing, direct transmission of ideas, but it doesn't mean that you don't get great clarity, great meaning out of that. So just because something is spare and Spartan in its form doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it. Now, what are some lessons you can take from this beautiful short story? Essentially, a novella, as you can see, it's not thick. In this edition, 127 pages. So it's something you can very much read in an afternoon, and I would encourage you to read it in an afternoon. It's not something that you're going to enjoy over days and days and days. Just take it for the impression that it can make on you. Maybe on a rainy day, maybe on a snowy day, whatever it might be. Think on this meditation about craftsmanship, about how older people have so much skill and craft and love to give, even if society has pushed them out to the edges, even if society doesn't think that they're useful anymore, even if society laughs at them when they're down on their luck. That having respect for the elders of your generation, the elders of the previous generation, says a lot about who you are as a people and who you are as a culture. And we see at least one acolyte of the old school in Manolo, his, you could say, young apprentice, the old man's young apprentice, who comes out with him fishing for some time until he runs into an unlucky streak. Fishermen are superstitious, and the parents of the young boy tell him that he needs to sign on with another boat so that he doesn't get pulled into this vortex of bad luck. But thankfully, the young man still helps out the old man, whether that's helping him with his nets, getting him some food on credit, helping him around the house. And that, I think, buoys the old man very much. And it sets us up both for the beginning and close of the novella. And while it's not that much of a spoiler to tell you, obviously, a novella, The Old Man and the Sea, there's a story about catching a fish. He's a fisherman. And he's ultimately both successful and unsuccessful in this capture of this large fish. And I say successful and unsuccessful because what is the other literary idea about catching a fish that we know about in American literature is Moby Dick by Melville. And that's a novel of epic proportions compared to this novella of small proportions. And in that epic of large proportions, Ahab dies chasing the white whale. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't read Moby Dick. The old man does not die here, even though it's the largest fish he's ever caught, even though in a sense by the end when he gets back to the village he hasn't caught it because all of the profit, the money is gone, but the respect has been restored. The fishermen know what it took to bring in a fish like that, and knew what it took to come back fighting the sharks who wanted the fish meat on the way back. So he also, in a sense, gets his own mojo back. He knows that he still got it. It was an epic battle in order to reel this fish in and then to bring it back against all of the shark attacks. And even though he's not entirely successful in getting the profit of this fish, he's still successful in, as I said, restoring his own self-respect and the respect of the villagers and of Manolo and others. Now, I told you that there are some beautiful sentences, so I want to read just a few of those to you. And again, beautiful in how spare they are, how much they communicate, not necessarily beautiful in the sense we think about Shakespeare, Thomas Hardy, or the Bronte sisters. And here also we see this idea of respect for the prey that's so important in any culture that hunts anything, whether it's a land animal or these fish. And he says, "Fish," he said softly aloud, "I'll stay with you until I am dead." So he knows that this fish is going to fight for its life, but he too is affirming his commitment. He even brings religion into it here. He says a prayer to Mary, and he adds, "Blessed Virgin, pray for the death of this fish, wonderful though he is." So there's this dawning realization that you have a grudging respect for prey, or maybe not grudging, a respect for prey as prey, but as that prey shows its prowess, shows its strength, shows its power, your respect necessarily has to go up. And that's what's going on here. This continues on for a number of pages. And even to the end, when he realizes what he's doing, how he's fighting with this fish, he's talking to himself. "You must keep your head clear. Keep your head clear and know how to suffer like a man." Or a fish, he thought. So here he loses this idea that only men are capable of fighting through this suffering, that here this fish is able to do it as well. And as I say, this is not a long book that you're going to read through over many, many days. I think ideally it should be something you should read in one sitting, in whatever format, whatever style you'd like, in order to take the ideas as you would a strong drink or a warming drink or any sort of nutrition, analogous to the fish that the old man has to eat while he's on his journey and holding onto the rope and eating fish with his other hand while he holds onto the rope with the other. That this nutritive value of this text will allow you to examine the importance of the work that we do in any sector of our life, whether that's personal work, professional work, work with our families, and what our relationships are like in those circumstances. And I'll leave you with an image that Hemingway gives us in the beginning of the text and he ends with, which is very meditative, but it evokes Joseph Conrad. He's talking to Manolo. "When I was your age, I was before the mast on a square-rigged ship that ran to Africa, and I have seen lions on the beaches in the evening." And lions on the beaches in the evening. I mean, what an idea, what a concept. And we can go deep into that in terms of, is he a lion on the beach in the evening? You know, that you have these great creatures that are restrained. They don't have any power over the sea, that even a great creature like the lion can't do anything against the sea. There's a bunch of different threads we could go to, but I just wanted to leave you with that image, which both begins and ends this novella, and encourage you to pick up this book. As I say, many of you may have read it when you were younger, and as I said, like me, had a vague impression of enjoying it. I encourage you, read it now. It won't take you very long, and you'll realize how many more lessons are able to be harvested when you're older. You've had some more life experiences. You've killed some big fish of your own, but you've had that fish taken away from you as you tried to bring it back to shore. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This helps YouTube make my videos more easily findable by others. If you'd like to support my work, please consider supporting my Patreon, which is also linked below, as well as a copy of this book. If you'd like to buy it through one of those affiliate links, I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, until the next time, enjoy your reading.